Well, that's not a Caravan, is it? I mean, that is, and that is, and that is, but this isn't. Got a little side quest here today. This is my mom's decrepit, poor 1998 Hyundai Tiburon with a 1.8 liter inline 4 and a 5-speed manual transmission. This car, as rough as it looks, has 51,875 original miles. It is a one-owner car. And it needs some work. I think we got a couple things to do today. And no, it's not this, because I literally cannot find a fender for it. Or a headlight. Got any leads, let me know. This thing is getting a timing belt, water pump, and serpentine belt. You know, a basic tune-up. It's also getting an oil change. If I can find an air filter on hand at O'Reilly, I'll get an air filter for it. And then I think I got a washer fluid pump for it. This one's kind of, I replaced it once, and this one kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie. And then it needs a really big clean out. It's messy, it's gross, it's got dust everywhere, it's got junk, you know. Pressure wash it. I think under the hood we'll pressure wash once we're done with our job there, because it's pretty dusty. And like, look at all this. Kind of clean the car up, make it a little better, right? Let's pop the hood here. And up under the hood, like I said, is a 1.8 liter dual overhead cam 16 valve Hyundai engine. I think these are in quite of a lot of like Hyundai and Kias of the era. I don't know, it runs, it does the thing. I've already had this popped off earlier. I was inspecting, and that right there is the original filter for the car. Never been changed. It actually doesn't look that bad. But you can see it's got all kinds of dust and grime and debris. The valve cover's kind of seeping a little bit, it looks like. We'll ignore that for now. But our main area of attack is going to be over in this section. So these are the original belts. They've never been serviced. They've never been off. This car really has not had service, ever. So those belts are getting pretty loose. I think this has been replaced. I replaced this like 5-6 years ago. And then other than that, it really hasn't had a whole lot of new parts. It's had a clutch master on it. As you can see, it's got a vice grip stuck to the bleeder because it's also had issues since then. But it's working right now. Cooling system is still full, under pressure even. The air conditioning works. The air conditioning is the original factory air conditioning, never been recharged, never been touched. It works, it's ice cold. It's got a newer, I'm not going to say newer, this was probably from 2020 or 2021 when I did the, I guess it hasn't, I shouldn't say it hasn't ever had service. I put rotors, pads, and front bearings on this 6 years ago now. I also put a set of tires. Whatever the date on these tires is when I did it. These are 195/60R14s. I also did rear rotors and pads on it, replaced all the original brakes on the car. And this is its third set of tires it's ever had. These are not very good tires, but they work. It's got the typical Minnesota rust going on there. Anyway, I just figured I'd bring you along a little bit here anyway. Just gonna see what's going on here. That is full, looks good. The overflow looks good. You know, everything looks good. The car runs great. But that's an original timing belt, original, you know, water pump and everything. It's time to do it before it causes problems. I'll fire the car up for you quick. It's also out of gas, so we got to fill that up too when we're done. But it is running. It does run, like I said, it fires right up. Well, here's what I got. Pretty bare minimum here, bare bones. I got all of the serpentine belts for it, or V belts, I guess, in this case. I've got another new washer pump from, I don't know where I got it. And then we got a timing kit here. This is a Dayco water pump timing belt kit. And we got ourselves, obviously, a belt. And then, looks like that's a water pump gasket. Water pump itself. Looks like tensioners and stuff, pulleys, and then some instructions, which I'm going to need because I have no idea what I am doing. I've never done this before. But this is a 96 to 98 Elantra and Tiburon 1.8 liter. So apparently this is what we do. Looks like it's even got foot-pounds, torque specs. It's got everything on here. The interval replacement guide. Hyundai recommends check and replacement if necessary every 30,000 miles or 24 months, whichever comes first, and replacement every 60,000 miles or 48 months, whichever occurs first. Well, it's been nearly 52,000 and 28 years. It's due. Looks like it says labor time, almost, 3 hours? With AC, it looks like a little extra time. Hopefully we don't have to actually do anything with that. But it looks like I've got full instructions here. And that is what I'm going to use to do the belt. But pretty much it looks like remove this cover, probably get the motor mount out of the way. You know, pull the power steering reservoir, pull the coolant reservoir. Just get all that stuff out of the way. Questions are clearance for these pulleys and stuff. What are we looking at for that? That's what I'm seeing is the biggest issue, perhaps. Yeah, you have to pull the alternator. How do we get at that pulley? Do we have to jack the motor up? Maybe? I don't know. I guess I'm just going to start taking stuff apart. If I find anything relevant, I'll bring you in. I'll show you guys what's going on here. Kind of hopefully give you guys an idea how to do a timing belt on one of these if you needed it. Not that these are very common. They certainly aren't common enough up here. I can't find a fender for one. Or a headlight. I'm going to do some more looking because it kind of needs it, doesn't it? So step one, it looks like to me, is remove this inner plastic shielding, which it still has, by the way. I did snap off one bolt for some reason. I don't know why, it just didn't go. But that gives you a bunch of access here. I got the tire off as well, out of the way. Let's take a look under here. Gives you access up here, also to the oil filter, which we will need to change afterwards. But if you look under this car, it's actually remarkably clean. Aside from the rear quarters, back there you can see it. The car is very clean. It's undercoated and everything with rubber undercoating from factory, brand new. But it's a really clean car for a Minnesota car, man. Like the rockers are all good, rails and stuff. Just the rear quarters back there need done. I mean, and that's not that bad, considering. You know, she's taking some scraping, a dent in the oil pan, a little scrapey scrape right there, but it's not too bad. Oh. As you can see here, here's those brakes I'd done. And what sucks about these is these are captive rotors, meaning to get this brake out, you have to get the bearing separated. This is the outer part of the wheel hub, and the rotor is sandwiched in between. It's really silly, but, you know, it is what it is. So this gets us access to the crank bolt, though. You know, we should be able to get that off. Look at that cracking in that belt and everything. You know, it's not ideal. A little bit of an oil pan weep going on. Not too bad, though, you know. Not awful. So I think that's probably step 2 here, is get that crank bolt off, get the crank pulley off. That way I get the belts all off. And just kind of move from there. I'll have to ask my dad if he's ever done plugs on this or not. Because every bolt, except for 2 on this protective cover, we're missing. So I'm going to remove the plugs. The directions state to do it to make it easier to turn the engine over and get it where you want. I'm going to do it. Well, 1, it's going to help with that, but 2, I want to see what the condition these plugs are in, you know, re-gap them if we need to, or I'll get some, you know, replacements ordered. But let's go ahead, get those all pulled off. I'm going to, as you can see, there's some mouse turds and stuff. We're going to vacuum those out of there so those don't go down the cylinders. Kind of clean all that up. We'll get those pulled out real quick. We'll take a look at them. I'm thinking those have been done. They're RC12YCs. And they're Champions. I don't think Champion is going to be OEM for a Hyundai. I could be wrong, though. Let's go look at the placard over here. That's a refrigerant placard. Where's the engine placard? Up here. So, we're going to look for a 39 thou plug gap, to 43. I'll double check those. Wait. That says 2.0. Is this a 2.0 or a 1.8? Uh-oh. So it is a 2.0 inline 4. And that had me panicking like I bought the wrong timing kit. I don't think I did. So if I look at the order here, it's for a 98 Tiburon 2.0. And that's the kits we ordered. I think this is wrong. I think that's a fat finger on Dayco's part. Because I think they're very similar engines. If I don't know what I'm talking about, but we're probably all right. But either way, you look at it and it says, 1.8 on the intake itself, so I'm not all that worried. But interesting. Anyway, that's the spark plug gap we're looking for here. Well, I checked the gap on the plugs, and I actually had to open them up. They were all gapped for like 35 thou, so I opened them up to about 40. So they're about all even. Otherwise, they look decent. Like, they're all pretty even. These two are a little darker than those two, but it looks fine to me. All right, little progress update here. That is all of the power steering fluid, or what looks like a transmission fluid, drained out of the reservoir, coolant overflow, and then I've got some other stuff out of the way. I got the power steering pump pulled up out of the way. I figure it's a good time to change some of that fluid anyway. And then down here, I've also got, on top of the power steering belt, I got the alternator unhooked and out. I've got the battery positive unhooked, by the way. And it looks like to get that actually out, you either have to remove the oil filter, which we haven't done yet, or this bracket will come out when we go to do the water pump here. Because this is the water pump pulley, which has play in it, by the way. So it's good we're here. I'm trying to decide. I think we can probably sneak a wrench in here and get those out of the way, because then we can get that bracket out. See what I mean there? So I think that's the play, because then once that's out, we'll go ahead here and we will get this motor probably jacked up with a board under the pan, probably pull that motor mount out, and that should give us some clearance here. Now it says it should take longer with the AC. I'm trying to decide. Is it just AC belt tensioning and stuff that they account for? I don't know. Because it doesn't seem to be in the way. So we're almost here, But it's actually, this car's pretty easy to work on. There's lots of room to get in at everything. Not a huge deal at all so far. All right, got the motor mount all removed. Got the extra little bracket out of the way here. Should be about ready to get this guy out. I've got it jacked up on a block down there. I'm going to get an 8mm wrench in here, or 10 or whatever that is, and just start taking those water pump bolts out, get those out of the way. Then I think the next thing we'll do is take the cover off. We'll take a look at what we're working with here. And if these belts have anything to tell you about what we're working with, we know what's coming here. These three right here, minus those two new ones, these are the old belts. And this is the power steering belt that I've known was bad for a long time. I've been watching it kind of wobble. But if you look at that belt. That's about ready to let go. And then we've got the other two belts, the AC and the alternator belts. And those are just frickin' mint. And then this one right here is literally tearing right here. So those are in great shape. Those are the original belts to the car. And they're all being replaced with a set of Bando belts, whatever that one is. I got one more up top there, and so these are all, looks like, are these two the same? I think these are the same. Nice. 335, 345. They're almost the same. So I have to make sure I know which is which, but that ought to help a lot. Almost there, it looks like. It's not too bad at all. It's a pretty easy job, actually. Little trick here to get those water pump pulley bolts cracked loose. And it is a 10 mil. So I got a vice grip here, and I just lightly clamped it on there, and it wrapped around that pulley there, so it didn't squeeze the pulley. I was able to crack all those loose pretty easily. They're not super tight. And I suppose for tightening, you just do it on the other side. Well, there we are. I've got water pump pulleys out, crank pulley harmonic is out, and both plastic covers are off. I should note the lower plastic cover is kind of an interference fit to get it around the water pump pulley, or the pump itself, to kind of drop it out the bottom. And I jacked the engine back up for that. I think it was a 22 millimeter on the crank bolt, and it came out with the 1/2 inch impact. And then the I just had to wrap on the pulley with a mallet just to kind of crack it loose a little bit, and then it came right off. The belt, this timing belt doesn't actually, look terrible just looking at it. Like, it's in relatively good shape, honestly, for what it is. I mean, we'll know when we get it off if we look at it really close, but it doesn't look all that concerning, Now, what does look concerning is this. That valve cover gasket is, in fact, in need of replacement. And you wouldn't believe it, but AutoZone has that valve cover gasket in stock. What else it has in stock is the idler for the AC. That pulley is junk. It has that in stock as well. So we're going to definitely go be picking those up and replacing those. And then I'll pick up the oil and stuff as well while we're on that route. So, yeah, we're almost there. I mean, it's practically ready to get the belt off. I just got to align it, the timing marks, make sure we are number 1 TDC and timing marks are all aligned. And then I'll go ahead, get this belt slipped off of here, get the pulleys off of here, get these all swapped out, get the new belt on, make sure we're good to go in that regard. And then I think we're going to switch gears, kind of start cleaning up the vehicle, get most of the stuff done before we head on down the road to AutoZone, because I have to go to the Blaine store, which is across the cities, but they do have it in stock. All right, so I've been referencing this to get the timing marks and get the engine lined up, and I'm going to show you these timing marks. So we're looking on the camshaft first. See this hole right here? Behind that hole is a dot, which is conveniently got some red paint on it, likely from the factory, I'm assuming. And you line that guy up, and then down here on the engine, or on the crank, see that white paint pen on that mark there? That is going to line up with that, see that mark back there on the case? So those two line up. The engine is in time at number 1 TDC, and we should be good to pull the tensioner and the idler off and get that belt slipped right off of there. So here's the belt, and it is junk. There was some, I'm trying to find, there's some cracking in here, as you can see. Now, I don't know if this is, I mean, it's got to be OEM. We're not aware of anybody that's done this, but it's a Gates Power Grip belt made in Korea. So, and there's the part number on it. That's the belt that came off. And then it's got a GMB tensioner pulley, which is exactly what's going back in it. The only difference between this one and that one is this one says made in Korea, and that one does not. So, take that as you will. But this pulley feels pretty good, honestly. You could probably reuse it. But, guys in here, now's the time to replace it. And then what we've got is a Dayco belt going in its place. So I don't know if that's OEM or not. I mean, it's got to be, but, it doesn't look that bad, for what it is. Now, on the other hand, here's the idler pulley. I'll set you guys right here. That guy is shot. I bet you that was making noise we could hear. And it is a GMB made in Korea pulley, but I can feel the play in it. That pulley is junk. Alright, water pump's out. The mess has been made. I caught some of it in a pan. So here's the pump that came out. It is a pump. It's got a plastic impeller in it. And then here's the new one. It's got a nice metal impeller. So that pulley or the bearing kind of feels, it's not like it was weeping, but it's not great. You can see where they saved a little bit on manufacturing costs. But there's our new one right there. That's what's going in it. I've got a new gasket and everything. I guess I got to get that gasket off yet. Coolant's got green coolant in it, so I'm assuming that's been changed before, because I doubt an Asian vehicle would come with green coolant from the factory. So, well, that makes it easier for me. I don't really have to flush, just need to top off. But there we go. I think the last thing I want to do is pull the valve cover off, get everything prepped in that regard, and we should be good as far as pulling parts out. I mean, maybe the air filter, but it's ready to start throwing parts back on. It actually went very well. It took me like 2 hours to get this far, and I've stopped and filmed and took breaks and shopped on AutoZone, so we're not doing terrible at all. First new part installed. Got the new water pump bolted up in place. I think that was the worst part of the job, was scraping off the old gasket there with a razor blade. Got the new gasket in place. I did put a tiny little bit of RTV on both sides. Next guy's going to hate that. The next guy's probably me. But in theory, this water pump should last, well, this one lasted 51,000 miles. That one ought to last at least half of that, right? But, you know, more like 6 months because it's aftermarket, you know. But that pump feels good, looks good. It's all in place. Should be good to go. And in theory, it's better because it's got a metal impeller, but you never know. So I'm going to top off the cooling system. And while I'm working on getting the valve cover off, hopefully we'll be able to see if there's any leakages. There shouldn't be, but you never know. All right, valve cover is off, and this engine, it looks really good. Looks super, super healthy. I see no issues there. Just going to get a fresh oil change, and that'll be that. I am, though, adding to the parts list, even though they look fine, really. This cam seal, that crank seal, because the sprockets come right off. You know, it'd be dumb to not do it, you know, because otherwise then this is good for another 20 odd years, give or take. This plug right here is the big leaker right here. So those are coming with, they come with the valve cover gaskets, so we should be all good to go in that regard. Yeah, otherwise, not looking too bad at all. I think it's about time for me to switch gears here. I'm going to take the vacuum, kind of clean out the inside. I'm going to show you this mess in here that it is right now. It's not nice. It's not nice. Kind of clean all this dust out. See, the dust door seals are kind of shot. And, you know, that's kind of how it is. What you got to do is you got to turn the fan on and recirc off. You want to be able to suck air in and create positive air pressure in the cab. You know, what's cool about this thing, though, it's got a leather headliner, or whatever you want to call it, vinyl headliner. That'll never drop like fabric. I guess this is like an FX trim or whatever. I don't know the high trim of it. But yeah, we'll get this all cleaned up, make the car look a little nicer. I would argue that's a bit excessive. I can scoop it by the handful. I don't see any giant rot holes in the quarters. It's coming from, you know, like down here. Like, hell, what is that, a nest? Yeah, at one point I think that is. And then you got this vent down here. You know, that escalated. And well, today's the day to do this too, by the way. It's March 21st, and it is 77 degrees out right now. I'd love to have been working on, I think it's Cherry. I think that's the name I've been suggested that I like the most. Cherry, the 90 Plymouth Voyager. Makes sense. It rhymes with berry, and it rhymes with carry. And this van is cherry. I mean, just look at it. Anyway, I'd love to have been working on this van right now, but this is on the docket of things that need to be done. So here we are. So we've got the rear like door panels, you want to call them that, trim panels. They're out now. And that pretty much gives us access to where all the dust is coming from. And so what my plan is obviously clean all this stuff up, get all the dust out, you know, every little bit we can, scrub it down. And we're going to tape up all of these holes, all of them, stuff them with something, foam, tape them up to prevent as much stuff coming, because this is where it's all coming in, through all these holes as we can. And that should allow it to not do what it has done, at least to this level. This is bad. So, all right, let's get the shop vac in here and let's start sucking up some dust. I didn't make very much progress. I kind of saw that it's choking the vacuum. Yep, look at that. This is going to be an ordeal. Alright, well the vacuum's kind of working, but it's clogging that filter all the time. I mean, I got a bunch of it out, but we're not going to get all of it. And so, I got 2 more steps to take here. So you can see here, these are the patches for the quarters here, this is where the dust is getting in, is on this side right here where it's got a hole in the bottom of the rocker. So that's where it's coming up and through. And so I've taken those 2 plugs out and those 2 plugs out. What we're going to do is we're going to get the air compressor and blow as much out as we can while it's dust. And then once that is complete, we're going to get the garden hose and we're just going to douse this thing in water. Try to stay away from the electrical as much as I can. The battery's unhooked. It's not a big deal. We're just going to fill this thing with water, let it drain out, and just wash the dirt out, especially in these quarters and stuff. Let that dry for a little bit, and then we're going to fluid film oil it, clean it up, and start taping up these holes. Alright, I think we're all done getting the dust kind of taken care of. That went pretty extreme. It's mostly dried now. The air and the wind and the warm air has been drying it pretty well. I did vacuum the rear floors, suck all the moisture out of there. You know, the rear quarters and stuff. I took the air compressor, kind of blew all the connectors and stuff out where they're exposed. Obviously, it's still dirty. I've also kind of wiped down a bit, but here's the thing. All the loose dust is gone. It's out. Alright, getting ready to start putting, I went with Gorilla Tape, that's what we're going to use to seal this car. But I did go and I oiled all the insides of the inner fenders and everywhere I could. I also did a whole bunch out here, you know, did all these and then on the insides. Then I pulled this up and I sprayed inside the rockers here. There's a couple of holes here on the bottoms of the doors. And I started the rockers because, well, I was undercoating the bottom of the car, which I did put a layer of undercoat on the whole bottom of the floor, which, like I said, the floor looks, decent. It was rubberized undercoating when it was new. The rockers, as you can see, there's more to be desired. That leads me to up here. And we got one of them. Because I was up here spraying, and then I was like, wait, what the hell is that? There's a hole in the floor. So I poked it out, and then we done that. As you can see, it's got some seam sealer. So it's sealed so moisture doesn't get up in there. And that should keep it from getting the carpet wet and making that worse. That's the idea anyway. But yeah, this hole inside the rocker sprayed inside the fenders. So that should help a little bit with the poor car. Here we are the next day. I got the valve cover inside. I'm cleaning it up right now. And, well, I got the cam sprocket off, as you can see, but it didn't go according to plan. So I got a crescent wrench on the nub on the cams. And then I had this guy here. I slowly got bigger bars until something would move. And, well, when I went to loosen the bolt, something funny happened. The gear moved with the bolt. And if you look right here, that is the locating pin. And right there is the other half of the locating pin. And if you look at it, see how it's two different colors? Like, what the hell? Well, it was like it was weak already. And it did some funny business. What the hell? So here's my fun thing is I gotta find something to replace that with now. You gotta be kidding me. That's a good one right there. What the hell happened there? Why did that happen? My only thought is, could I have used an impact on that bolt and got one in there? But here's the thing, tightening it would have done the same thing, Why? Well, guess we get to deal with that now. So here we go. I mean, just look at that. Part of me really, really, really thinks that that's been like that. It just, if you look at this, it's kind of, oh, I don't want to drop this. It's got like see that right there? It's got like a weird wear spot. And like it was kind of wedged in the pulley funny. I mean, I guess I could have done that, but I don't think I did that. That kind of just looks like it's been, I wonder if that's been like that the whole time. That's scary because that lets go and that pulley spins. That blows the engine up too. That's scary. I am going to have to try get that thing is stuck in there. I'm going to have to try get a really small drill bit and try to break it free with a drill bit, I think. But I don't know what to replace it with. I got to figure that out yet. That's not cool. That's how you start the morning off. It's going to go well today. I suppose I better move this before it does something it's not supposed to as well. That is probably the most centered hole I've ever drilled in my life. This has got to be one of the very few use cases where easy outs actually work. And we're going to get that dowel pin out of there. I'm going to dig around and see if I just got something that's the right size for a dowel pin. We'll see. My thoughts are I've got an engine block that's sitting out rusting away behind the shed. It's not a Hyundai motor or whatever, but hey, maybe it's got something that's the right size. You never know, right? Otherwise, I gotta get creative here. So here we are at this 2.5 inline 4, and I pulled the cylinder head dowel pin out. I guess I could have checked before, but the cylinder head dowel pin is too big, so that's not gonna work. But I'm gonna bring this back with me since I took it out, throw it in the drawer. That was my first thought. So I'm going to keep digging around and, stuff like this. I'm looking for something that'll work. Look in the scrap pile here. This is the beautiful scrap pile. Is there anything in there that could have something? No, not really. But I'm just going to have to dig around until I find something that's got something like that. Blueberry's about get on the interstate for the first time. This is actually about where I found her, out here by Elko New Market. She's actually just down the road. I passed by the property where this came from. But here we go. There she is. Not bad. And with that, here we are at U-Pull in the JDM section, where I never am. So that is a Hyundai 2.0 on a 2004 Sonata, and this guy should have the right dowel pin. Now I was looking at some diagrams, so the dowel pin here apparently is different for the cam gear, but it shares the dowel pin right here. So I'm gonna pull all of them, you know, if we can get them out of this one. Otherwise there's another car down there that has this 2.0 in it as well, but it's the same design. You can tell. I mean, it's a little different, like newer style belts and everything. It's a Hyundai belt too and everything. That's weird. Wonder if this thing's either serviced by Hyundai or just lower mile. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Here we are. Whatever happened, the battery blew up in it, like the corrosion. So I'm gonna get this valve cover off. I think I need a couple of these bolts, so I'm gonna save this hardware, and we're gonna take this thing with us. Well, not the cover, but the, you know what I'm saying. We're gonna get those dowel pins out, hopefully, and that should put us back in business. There's our prize right there. So that, I mean, it looks like the same one to me. I imagine it is. I mean, I might pull that other dowel pin just to be safe, you know. Never know if I mess one up too, right? So nice. Looky what I got. Winner. Here's the next victim. Yeah, that's a good one to pick from, huh? I guess this is a 1.6. It's like an 08 Accent, but you can kind of tell that it's the same motor family, so I guess it kind of makes sense. We're just gonna go ahead and pop this cover off, see what's under there, go from there, right? But you can tell it's sort of the same intake style, everything. So there might be one in there. And prize number 2 is almost, present. The funny thing, you know what the funny thing is about this whole thing? Is that both of these junkyard cars, the belt is in worse shape than what was on the original car here, my mom's car. Like, that belt was loose, it's cracked as hell, whatever. But I guess if you need engine parts or whatever, little bits like this, that's weird. That looks like it got warm or some shit. The 1.6s, the 1.8s, the 2.0s, I guess they're all the same family. Maybe that's obvious. We'll try to get that out of there without causing too much damage. I kind of gouged the first one a little bit, so we're going to try to be gentle with this one a little more. I'm just going to use the best one, clean it up a little bit, and call it a day. But that's going to do it, at least for this part. See you guys back at the house. I'm eyeballing this shiny new cap for some reason. I don't know why. Well, as you can see, we got the 2 pins. They're both different, so I don't remember which was from which. So I guess we're gonna find out. One of them's obviously out of a 2.0, one's out of a 1.6, so I don't quite know. I guess we'll find out, right? There's some other goodies I picked up for other stuff I'm working on. And just like that, we have a dowel pin again. And that's a brand new seal. As much as it doesn't look like it, it's got a little bit of grease on it I gotta wipe off. But that is a brand new seal installed. Now it's time to start putting it back together. And by that I mean clean up the valve cover, gasket surface, get that new valve cover and gasket cleaned up and put on. And then we can start thinking about timing. Alright, we are back to where we were right away this morning. Except for the fact that that's a new cam seal. I just torqued that to 80 foot-pounds. It said anywhere between 74 and 90, so I fudged it and did 80. So good enough. She torqued down, she's tight, it's there. Most importantly, there's a dowel pin that's in one piece, and it's in time. So, yay, I guess. Alright, I got the valve cover surface all cleaned up, got the 3 little plugs in place. And I also put RTV on top of the 3 plugs where the 2 rubber gaskets meet. And then in the corners here, over the cam cap right there, where the gasket goes all funny. And I also sprayed the camshaft down really good just to get all the contaminants off the lobes and stuff. And I put some assembly lube on all of them just to be extra gracious to them. And I got the valve cover cleaned up, got the new gasket inlaid into it, and I'm about ready to bring it out here, drop it on down, and tighten all the bolts up. So at least we'll have the engine all sealed up permanently, looking nice and good with those blue plugs. I also put the new air filter in there, and I got that all closed up as well. Found that clamp was tight or loose, so I tightened those all up. And then I found that cap in the glove box, or in the pile of stuff I took out of the glove box, so I threw that on as well. In fact, I had one of those at the junkyard off of that Elantra or whatever we pulled the pin out of, and I popped it off and went ding, 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 and it went and disappeared. So I almost had that, but luckily we had that one. So, all right, look at that. Valve cover's on. Everything's tightened down. Not only that, I got the 4 plugs back in, tightened down as well. Good to go. Just kind of did a quick wipe down on that. I'm getting ready to put all these wires back in and stuff. I'll probably just rinse them off quick, throw them on. Remember, when we're done, we're going to pressure wash this thing real good, but the more we can get off as it sits, the better. So then that's the engine all sealed up. There, that looks nice. Yeah, that cleaned up really nice, actually. Not bad, anyway. Not bad. And just like that, there's a timing belt on there. A brand new one at that. So, I'll take you back into this booklet here and give you just a quick look at the instructions for installation. It says, ensure the timing marks align, check. Install a timing belt in clockwise direction, starting at the camshaft sprocket, check. Ensure timing belt top between sprockets on the non-tension side, check. Turn the loosen the tensioner bolt and push the tensioner firmly against the timing belt to tension the belt, check. Torque the tensioner belt to 32 to 41 foot-pounds, check. That's the same torque spec for the idler that you should have done beforehand, check. Turn the crankshaft 1 turn clockwise and check the timing marks are aligned. Have not checked that yet. Check timing belt tension by applying a force of 5 pounds. Who knows what that means? At the triangle, belt should deflect 0.16, 0.24, if not adjust tensioner. So look at the triangle right there. Check. Install components reverse order. Tighten the crankshaft bolt to 125 to 133. FYI. So, I'm going to go ahead. Let's turn this thing all the way around. Okay, I'll verify timing marks with you guys. Boom. Boom. And there's the socket right there. So in theory, if we're not in time, the engine will not turn all the way around because valves will hit the pistons and it won't spin. So let's make sure that it does the thing. I did put the plugs back in, by the way, so be wary of that. Just so we're clear, that's a turn crank 1 turn. That's a 2-stroke. This is a 4-stroke. You gotta turn it twice, just so you're aware. If that wasn't obvious, that this booklet isn't perfect necessarily. Anyway, boom, timing mark. Boom, timing mark. That engine's in time. It's good to go. So that means we did what we came here to do. We got some shiny new belts, new water pump, new idler that really needed to be replaced. Same with that. New tensioner, new belt that was, you know, you got to do it right. And we're looking pretty. Get those little plastic covers on there, and the timing job is complete. Then it's just a matter of reassembly here, which will probably happen tomorrow. But I think I'll finish up and get the covers on it, right? All right, we got the timing cover plastics back on. That bottom one fought me. It's an interference fit is all I can say, getting it around that water pump. I did manage to retain all the little dust seals too. I dabbed them with RTV on the backside before I put them on, and honestly I should have let them sit longer because the RTV was kind of getting on my hands as I was fighting it with this stupid thing, but they're on there, so I don't care. It's fine. It's done. It's over now. So I think the last 2 bits that I maybe want to get done is put the water pump pulley and the crank sprocket back on and tighten all those down, so then I don't have to remember or think about it. But, you know, I'll bring you back when we got updates, obviously. Look at that. Alright, got the crank sprocket loosely on there. We're going to go ahead and torque that down to 133 foot-pounds. And I'm going to do it live for you. I'm just going to show you just how I did that, you know, to hold that so it wouldn't spin while we were doing it. Torqued. All right, here's where I'm calling it quits for the night. I've got crank pulley on, obviously. Water pump pulley is on. The new water pump doesn't have a dowel pin in it. It's funny how this is all working. So that was a little bit of a pain to get those started. Got that, all the belts on. I started with the AC belt that's on there with the new tension or idler, you want to call it, down there. I haven't tightened them up, I haven't adjusted it. It's just on there. So that's the first belt you got to put on. Second belt you got to put on is the power steering belt, because it just slips off the water pump here. It's kind of in place there. And then I've got the water pump alternator belt over the water pump and the crank, and then it's just kind of waiting here for that alternator. New day, same car, new problem. So we're working on getting the accessory drives all put back together. I've got the AC belt tensioned. I just kind of go till it's pretty tight and then call it a day. I had the alternator belt tension and good to go, but I had to loosen it here because we're having a problem with the power steering. As you see, the belt's on, sure. That power steering belt is definitely too small. So I was able to slip it on, and this is kind of a mistake, honestly. I loosened the alternator belt so the water pump would spin free, and I got it started, and I was able to take a screwdriver and spin this pulley, and it slipped on, sure, and it spins, and it, you know, ideally the tension, you know, it's not bad, but it's got the, it's maxed out to the point where I can't even get the bolt on because this guy's in the way. So it's like all the way maxed out, so that's not the right belt. So I have to cut that belt to get it off because there's no way I'm getting that belt back off. It's not the right belt, and I knew it, but I was trying to see if I get it to work. But yeah, otherwise, we're looking pretty good. So I'm going to actually cut this belt off, slip the original belt on, just make sure everything works. And then I figure that would be a good test to go get the right belt, is take the old car for a spin, right? So that's my thought process anyway, because we're almost there. Oh, and there she is. She's all back together. I got the fluid or coolant topped off. Got the coolant topped off here. Got the power steering filled. I got the battery hooked up. Shall we find out if it runs? I think it's time to find out if it runs. All right, the stressful moment. Here goes nothing, right? Take one. Fires right up. Sounds good. I even got that old belt tightened up on that power steering. It's not doing this, so at least it's adjusted right until it goes bang. No squeaking, so I think we've got the belts pretty well nice and tight. That belt does need replaced, but I think it'll do for now. I don't see any leaks on the power steering. I don't see any other leaks going on here. Everything sounds good. Listen to that girl purr. Sounds good. That sounds good. I mean, arguably, that sounds really good. It's out of gas. I think it's out of gas. It's running on fumes because it won't even throttle up. So, I'm gonna get some gas in this thing. I think we got some gas right here, right? Oh yeah, let me fill this thing up quick. Well, if you notice now, minus the door dinger, it's actually idling properly now. It's off of E and it revs up. It's got fuel. Kind of helps a lot. Poor thing. Sounds pretty good, I think. Yeah, sounds good. I hear like a little chirp, 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 chirp. I'm almost wondering if it's that junk belt. That or one of the other ones out of adjustment, but I don't know. It's probably that junk one. Look at that. That chirp I hear, it's something rattling over there. It's not in the belt drive, because when I put my head here, it's over here. Nah, it sounds good though. I'm just, you know what? Is it the hood rattling? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I figure let's get the tire on this thing. Let's get this whole girl on the ground. I know I said I was gonna test drive it, and then I remembered the interior bit that's still apart. And then I was like, well, we could probably still drive it that way, right? That'll really tell us where the dust is coming in if it still comes in. Sounds pretty good. And I'd like to fill it up with some more fuel though, you know, too. Might as well, right? I think the only thing I want to do, maybe, is see if I can't get myself a blinker bulb. I caught myself on that plate again. Yeah, maybe if I could get myself a blinker bulb. And then I know this headlight's busted. I'm almost thinking about putting a self-tapping screw through here and then getting a new bulb for this. All right, she's ready to roll, I think. I just checked the air pressure and all the tires topped off the rear ones. I put some new valve caps on them because I guess they were missing on 3 of the 4. That ain't going anywhere. We're missing this, but you know, it is what it is. So I'm going to O'Reilly. I'm gonna pick up a bulb. I'm gonna try find like a universal turn signal socket and like pigtail. I'll see if I can't wire some up for that, and then I'll get some amber tape to go over that. And I figure we'll make something work, right? That's where we gotta get for now. We gotta make it so it can drive and be proper. I'm still gonna hunt down the right, you know, fender, headlight assembly and everything, but we gotta make it work for now. Otherwise, I'm gonna top off the fuel, and I think that's it. And then when we come back, figure it deserves an oil change. And we'll go from there. I think I might even run it through the car wash. I mean, kind of gambling here doing that through the car wash, but I think we'll be all right. You never know, right? I guess we're gonna find out. Let's see if we can get there first. All right, we're sitting at 51,875. I got the heat turned down a little bit. It's actually freaking warm. I don't know how much filming I'll be able to do because we're driving a, you know, a manual, but we'll give it our best effort, right? So I'll see you on the road. All right, we're moving. I actually had to turn around. Remember that clutch thing I was talking about? I had to go and bleed the clutch real quick because it wasn't pushing the master out all the way when you'd first go to press the pedal. And now that I've done that, it grabs just fine and it's good to go. That master's junk. That aftermarket master's probably just junk and it bleeds off pressure over a while. So it should be good to go for now. Otherwise, I was cruising and there was absolutely no dust getting in here. Absolutely none. And you know, and I could see it, you know, if I needed to, right? But no, we're good. So I think that fixed that issue. Oh, look at all the deer up there. There's like 8 of them. There they go. There she is, 60 mile an hour. This thing at 60, she's cooking. This is not a 75 mile an hour interstate car, not really. But I mean, red line's not till 6.5, so I mean, here, let's find out. We're in Mexico, by the way. It's my private racetrack. been a long time since the car's been this fast, I'm sure. You know, we don't need to go any faster than that. We'll, let's... There. That's good enough. It's fun. It's a fun car to drive, by the way. Like, if you ever wanted a manual transmission that was fun and, like, easy to drive, this Tiburon, it's a really easy clutch. So, I mean, this is the car I learned to drive stick in, aside from my dirt bike, and, you know, it was a 2003 Arctic Cat, which is still buried in the back shed somewhere. Anybody catch that? I instinctively wrote 156. Nah. That's a 0 behind that needle. That's a 0. I'll have to rip that one off and try that again. I mean, granted, I haven't even changed the oil yet. I was just trying to be preemptive so I wouldn't forget. But I messed that one up. Anyway, the car's cruising absolutely fantastic. So, you know, no shake in the wheel, no nothing. It just, it drives, which is funny. I mean, I guess that's, you know, a 50,000 mile car for you. It just needs a little love is what it needs. The poor neglected car just wants to live, apparently. So, but yeah, I think she's earned herself a headlight and a fender, if I can find one. Like I said, I've looked, but I almost, and one of you guys might have already said this by now, but I need to call up Hans Auto in the cities. They're like a foreign import junkyard. Apparently they've got a couple first-gen Caravans, so maybe if they got some Hyundai parts, we'll swing on out there, you know, and take a look, right? You never know, I suppose. But that's one of those things that I got to get to here. But the car's cruising fine. As you can see, like I said, we're kind of relying on the driver headlight, but in high beam, that's, you know, that's not too bad. You know, at least there's something there, right? But this car is so fun to drive. Like, it just eats into these corners. Like, it's nice. You know, and it's got some get up and go for a little 4-cylinder. Like, it moves. It's a light little car. It's low to the ground. It handles awesome. Like, it's a fun car. So, I can definitely see the appeal anyway. And I think this thing, like, brand new was like $13,000. I think that's what my mom paid for, like $13,000, which is crazy. You know, I'd be buying new cars maybe too if they were $13,000 and not 40, but, you know, maybe not 40 and unreliable at that. You know, this thing's $13,000, you know, dollars, and it's, you know, it's reliable. You can go. You don't have to do anything to it. Like this car, I think the only thing it's had in its life, you know, before I even worked on it, was plugs. My dad did plugs at like $30,000, and then a set of tires. That's it, you know? That's it. It didn't ask for anything else. Some of the stuff I'm doing is kind of preventative, just to make sure it stays on the road. So, there's my little rant there. Well, look at that. She made it to the quick trip. So I'm gonna fill this thing up, and then I'm gonna clean all the windows, and then I'm gonna take it to a car wash. And we'll see how she turns out, but not too bad. It drove fantastic, no issues at all. Nothing to report anyway. All right, we just got out of O'Reilly. I got myself some amber lens tape, this universal bulb socket thing, and the 2 amber bulbs to go with it. So, oh, and an air freshener in there I'm gonna throw in. So that should be able to make that turn signal work for now, until I can get a hold of the proper stuff. But that should do it for now. Let's get this girl on home. Just like that, she's home. How do you, where's the dimmer on this thing? There it is. go. That dome light does not work, by the way. I need to fix that too. But she made it home, no issues whatsoever. So tomorrow, hopefully, we'll get some more work done on this thing, kind of cosmetically, and ideally that blinker situation, we'll get that figured out. But the car's running great. It's driving fantastic. We fixed the dust issue. You know, it got some heat into this thing. We got to get an oil change done yet. I got to put the, you know, sticker with the right mileage up there. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Well, it's day after tomorrow, based on what I last said. But look what I got. Here's the marker light assembly, which just pops in and out with this little tab here, which makes that really easy to take care of. And that's a bulb in it. And so I've got that universal kit. What I had to do is I did a little bit of trimming on the kind of catch pieces, if you want to call it that. And then I bent the tabs in on the little universal bulb guy. And then once I got it slotted in and seated, I bent them back out, and it's sitting in there pretty. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around with some either silicone or liquid nails or something, and I'm going to seal that up, and I'll seal that up. And then we're going to go ahead, wire it up, and test it. And then once it tests good, I'm going to go ahead and use the orange tape and just wrap the whole thing in it, seal that up good, put it back on, and it's good to go. But we should have a blinker that works. Well, testing has been successful. We've got both a running light and a blinker. And here's how it's wired up. We got the ground pin wired to the center here, which is ground. And then we've got, I just had to guess and check which was the running light and which one's the blinker. The blinker is obviously the brighter of the two circuits, which is this inner bulb there, if you look in the center. And then the running light's the outer one that's just a little dim. If you flip them the other way, it'll work, but it'll fast blink and the blinker's too dim. But that's how you wire that up. Now we'll just kind of make it permanent, put it all back together, get some tape over that assembly, and we're good to go. Oh, she's mint. Like it never even happened. Yeah, it's pretty good for what it is. I mean, it's a blinker and a running light. I also ran a screw through here and through here to hold the headlight assembly in. Added some tape here. And I still got to put some shrink wrap on, but I wanted to make sure everything worked first. So now I've got those all crimped down. We're going to shrink wrap that, tape it up a little bit, call it good for now. I also took the sledge here and I kind of bashed this out just a little more. And then I put a screw in the bumper here, kind of hold it to the inner shielding just a little bit. I tried to go up into here, but I didn't have enough room. So at least it's kind of secured. I think that's all the body and headlight work. Now we're going to move on and get the oil changed, and that'll be about it for the mechanicals. I think I'll grab the pressure washer. We'll get this all pressure washed down, and while that's all dry, and we'll start working on the interior. Alright, got the car running here. As you can see, I've got the new power steering belt on, and I just got done doing the oil change on it. It had 4 quarts of really dark, gross oil, although it was still oil. So that's changed, got 4 fresh quarts in it, brand new STP, XL, XP, whatever filters on there. And she's mint. I'm just letting it run here a little bit, fill up the filter, just verify everything's good, which just sounds great. You know, the car sounds absolutely fantastic right now. With that, the mechanical work is complete. It is mechanically sound. We've got, you know, running lights, blinkers, you know, headlights, taillights. All of that is good to go. And it's roadworthy, I would say. Now, we're gonna go ahead and get this thing cleaned up, make it decent to be in and be around. So, I think we're gonna start pressure washing that engine bay. not too bad for just a quick pressure wash. I did spray a little bit of super clean on it, but you know, I just kind of hit it. I didn't do no scrubbing or nothing. Cleaned up pretty good. At least it's a little more shiny and less dusty looking. It looks, you know, like an engine bay. So that's not bad. Now that that's done, I've got that new sticker from the timing belt kit. I'm gonna put it right there. My 46,000 or whatever the heck this said washed off of here, so I figure we'll pull this up, put a new one down, and write 51 whatever thousand miles it's got on it. Why not, right? And then the date. And then I got to put the new oil change sticker in the window, and we're good to go. Mechanically, she is complete. All right, there we go. Fresh duct tape. I figured I'd throw one here. I've also got one in the windshield. And then we got the Dayco sticker here. I cut the other languages out just so it would fit. And that looks pretty good on there too. I got it sitting pretty smart. And she's good for quite a while. Should we see if it starts back up after I just pressure washed the hell out of it? I do want to put some anti-corrosive stuff on the battery terminals. And then I still got to put the plastic splash shield in it. I saw that in the garage. All right, does she still run? Nice. Probably let that run and dry off a little bit. I was going to check the oil. I forgot. It's fine. It's fine. Whatever. I'll check it tomorrow or later. Yeah, not bad. All right, she's looking nice and pretty there. Next on the list here is I might as well kind of rejuvenate, clean up all the seals. I'll start with that one. Then I'll go around and I'll hit the doors and stuff. And that'll kind of fix up the seals for a little bit, keep them clean, kind of hopefully soften them back up. Granted, they're not too bad anyway, but look at that. There, I got all the seals cleaned up. I also got this trim in on both sides. Seals, not too bad. They're treated anyway. Door seals and everything. Not too bad. Alright, well here's a prelim on the first cleaning of the dash. It looks really good. The center console turned out really well. Almost forgot about the headliner. Nice thing is it's leather, so you can just clean it. If you look right there, that's a dome light and it's working. So I pulled out the cover, cleaned all the stuff out, and then we pulled out that original bulb right there with either Japanese or Korean on it or whatever it is. Anyway, apparently that hasn't worked in like 15, 20 years, so I'm glad we fixed it. So we took that bulb out of the trunk light, which is in the trim panel. I saw that was working when I had the hatch open. So I threw that bulb up there, and she's good to go. Anyway, I think I'm about done for the night. But I'd say we made pretty good progress. We got all the dust and the muck and the crap out of it. Now it just looks, like it needs I hate to say Armor All, but an Armor All, a shine, a polish, a cleanup, like some leather cleaner maybe. And it might clean up pretty good. I got a whole bucket of leather cleaner wipes. That might do it as far as the interior goes. Besides, I might come back here and kind of scrub this before I put the spare tire in. And then put all that back together. And then it's just the trim stuff. That's not bad. Look at that. It's black. It's actually black. That's crazy. It's cleaning up pretty nice. In typical Minnesota fashion, the weather yesterday was 70, and today it is 40. So the car has made its way into the garage so I can do some interior work on it tonight without freezing my butt off. So that's where we're at. First thing I want to do is actually not interior work. So this thing's got a nasty, awful, you can't fill the car up because the vent is clogged or something. I'm going to try hunt that issue down because I have access to that door right there. Either it's the vent tube is clogged, or I guess maybe there's a purge valve that's in the engine bay that's clogged. It could be either of those. So I'm going to start trying to hunt that issue down. And once that's done, we'll get back to cleaning up the interior and putting this rest of this car back together. At least I can work in the warmth. Alright, so in the chase to hunt down this fuel vapor issue, we pulled this off here, and that goes up there, right there on that vent tube. And I stuck a hose on those two. I was able to blow through those two fine. So that isn't it. And that leads us over here. And down here is the old charcoal box. And to get it out, there's one bolt. Clearly, that went very well. And then there's a nut, which went slightly better. And somewhere in that rotten pile of dust is a charcoal box. And a bunch of hoses that attach to it. I'm going to try excavate that and get that out of there. And we'll kind of blow through those hoses, see how those look. And maybe that charcoal box is shot. Or maybe the hoses are just plugged. I don't know. We're going to take it apart and we're going to find out. Something ain't right in there probably. I mean, that's the last place to look before it hits the tank itself. So that's the mountain of dirt that came out of that charcoal box, by the way. So next I got to try to get those hoses off in some form. And that connector right there. But everything's pretty stuck on. Look at how much. That's a handful. And I barely made a dent. That's a lot of dirt. Alright, so I might have found at least part of the problem. It's related to that. So, that thing has a hose that goes into the canister. And then it also has that little 90 that goes into this. And this, I think, is supposed to vent out to air. And it's as good as clogged. Full of dirt, full of everything. I'm going to... Yeah, look, it just pours dirt out. So I'm going to try my best to kind of clean that piece out. Because you can see there's like a filter element and everything in there. So that thing is clogged. And this is normally open, by the way. I can blow through this and it blows to air. That right there is the clog. That's the clog. 100%. Because if this is free, all the vent air from the tank comes into the canister. And then it goes to this and it goes out to air. If that is clogged, it can't go through here. Does that make sense? That's about where I'm at right now. That's my guess, anyway. I could take this thing off, too, and give it 12 volts, and I'll see if it opens and closes like it should. It probably closes when the car turns on, right? That'd be my guess. This is clogged. I can't blow through this. I can barely kind of blow through it, but like not at all. So I'm thinking that's our problem. It was so full of that right there, because this is buried inside of that box, and that's full of dirt, and that's full of dirt. So that makes sense. So we're working on the interior here, and I've got the first rear trim piece in, and it's already got dusty fingerprints all over it from me just tracking dust everywhere, but it's pretty clean looking. And every panel here is going to get a spray down with dish soap, clean all the dust off, all the regular dirt, you know. And then once that's all done, we'll get a fresh, clean microfiber cloth, spray some tough stuff on there, soak that down. That seems to work really good to get it clean. And then once we get the whole car together, we're actually going to do another pass on that, get everything wiped down, every surface clean. Going to clean all the fabrics with this at a scrub brush, I think. I think that's my mid-ground I'm going to go to. And then we'll go ahead and we'll kind of clean and protect everything. But that's about where I'm at. Looking nice having some trim back in here. Should get this car back together pretty quickly. How about that for arguably the worst panel in the car? And then how about that? A little bit of scrubbing goes a long way. Vacuumed off all the dust that I could while it was dry. Wiped it down on the backside, got all the dust off of that, and then I sprayed this down with that tough stuff and just scrubbed it with a microfiber cloth, a clean one, and boom, look at that. Like I said, we'll still go over them one more time once everything's in and done, but that's starting to look pretty good. Well, here's where we're at. We got pretty much all the trim in. Got all the hardware in on all the trim here, so it's all in place. Looks really good so far. I got this taillight back in and everything. That turned out pretty a-okay for what it is. It does all work. Alright, I think I'm about done with the rear. I've got the headliner all scrubbed down, all the rear trim panels. I cleaned all the seat belts. It's not perfect. Will it ever be? No, but is it pretty good? Yes. I can't get, like, there's staining in there. Like, I think it's an oil stain, a lot of that is, but it looks pretty good for what it was. Not bad, anyway. And just like that, the rear seat is in. Looks pretty good. Got the package tray in and everything. Trunk's all cleaned out. Even got the maintenance box here, which has got the spare belts in it, the old air filter, snow brush, and extra quart of oil. It's all cleaned out. Looks pretty good. Not bad anyway. Had to do one repair right here. That little arm is snapped off, so put a hose clamp there. Was able to hold the screw in, and that kind of holds that there. And that's good to go. So we should be done with the trunk. Look how clean that window is. You can actually see through it. Oh, it looks pretty good. Alright, I got the windshield all cleaned up. As you can see, you can actually see into the car now. And you can see I got the passenger seat back out. Getting ready to clean that seat up, as well as just kind of scrub the floor down quick. Get a final scrub on the console, as well as the dash. Otherwise, we're just about done with this car. Get it pulled outside, and that'll be that. It's starting to look like a car again. Isn't that nice? Alright, here we go. Here's the carpet all done. Actually, it looks worse on camera with the light on here. Let's do this. There's what I can see. That looks frickin' mint. Yeah, like that. It looks worse on camera, honestly. But the carpet is black again. It's clean again. And that's all there is to that. Obviously, we've got some smoker damage. I don't know who would have caused that, but the seats are going to cover that, so it's fine. Most importantly, all the dust is gone. This car looks like $1,000,000 now. Looks a hell of a lot better. Even got the dash all cleaned up. She's just looking mint. Get these seats bolted in. I do have the floor mats to do yet. I don't know how I'm going to do those. I ran out of the tough stuff that I was using, so I'll probably have to go to like a regular old carpet soap and then the brush. I did use the drill brush on this. Just kind of agitate some of the stuff on the first round. I sprayed down some tough stuff, drill brushed, vacuumed, did it again, and then wiped it off, scrubbed it, and I think it did pretty good. I mean, obviously, you know what it looked like before, right? All right, seats are back in the car. Got all the little seat clips in place down here, except one. Back over there on the driver's side, and the closest one to the seatbelt. Apparently, it got lost or it was never there. I don't remember. But if you look right there, we've upgraded to the 21st century. There is a phone mount in this car. How exciting. Look at that. That looks freaking phenomenal. Oh, there she is. All done and roadworthy. Doesn't look too bad at night. It works. That's what matters. I just got done fixing the washer pump. So the pump was okay. It just needed, it was clogged. The filter on the end of the pump was clogged. So I fixed that, flushed out the reservoir, and that's good to go. Although I did have to suck on the frickin' hose to prime the system. That washer fluid does not taste good. It's got a brand new set of wiper blades on it. I just got the shielding on as well, so everything is back on the car. Sitting here, she's running, she's idling. That taillight looks good again, it's not full of dirt. It's got tabs, insurance, half tank of gas, dome light. It's got a dome light that works. She said that hasn't worked in probably 15 years. Little old car, very, you know, I mean, it's a 20-year-old car, it's pretty neglected for what it was. Fell into disuse, and that's how she goes, right? But now, it's been given some attention, and it's running, it's been serviced, it's clean, and it should be ready to go for quite a few years to come, because it's not that bad. I mean, it needs a quarter panel, but like underneath it's not bad, except that one spot, which I'm assuming the rubberized undercoating had a flaw and stuff got up underneath it, and that's why that rust. There's rust inside the rockers. I oiled them from the inside really good, so hopefully it kind of keeps it at bay. But it's not bad for a Minnesota car. So with that, I thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little not caravan video. I wasn't even sure I was going to do a whole video on this, but it turned into a whole thing. I was literally just going to do the timing belt and stuff, you know, but it turned into, well, let's go the extra mile. Let's clean this car up. Let's give it its best opportunity, its best chance. I think it turned out pretty well for what it is. I'm still going to be on the hunt now for a fender and maybe a hood, and I did find a taillight on eBay actually this time. It's like 70 bucks. It's in my cart, so I'm gonna let it sit in my cart and see if the guy offers me, you know, a discount or whatever. And I might pick that up. Otherwise, yeah, it needs a headlight, a fender, and maybe the hood. But the bra that we threw back on it, it's kind of stretched out a little bit. I've been treating it with some leather treatment and stuff, and you know, just having it on here, it distracts quite a bit. It hides most of the damage there on the hood, but you know, at least it's functional. It is now like 75 degrees out today. I'm just on the way home, and this AC is blowing ice cold. Let me remind you, that AC is the original factory AC. It's never been unsealed, which is probably why it still works. But yeah, it's blowing nice and cold. Car's doing fine. It's happened twice now that when it you started right up, it was missing. And the first time I took all the plug wires off and put them back on, and then it was fine. And this time I just wiggled the wires around on the coil and it seemed to come back. So I'm gonna order up a set of plugs and wires for it, just do the tune-up, be done with it, not use the old stuff, and then I'm not gonna worry about it. But I think those wires are just on the old side, and now that I've disturbed them, when I had them out, they're kind of not reliable. So there's your little bonus content. I'm not gonna do any filming on that. I'm just gonna get it in. Well, maybe I will, because I gotta do the charcoal box yet still. I bought a brand new charcoal box filter to take care of the fuel fill thing, because it's still an issue. It's better, but it's still an issue. So we got a little more work to do on the car, but the car, it's roadworthy. It drives great. It's doing all right. We're back. So I had bought this bright silver metallic base coat for the fender that I ended up getting screwed out of on this car. So I figured I'd have some fun, and we'd go ahead and we'd hit some of the spots that really needed it. Like this bumper that was a huge eyesore. Look at that. So I hit it with 3 coats of base, and then I just did a coat of clear. I might do one more coat of clear, but look at that. That matches so much better. It's so much less of an eyesore. That's what I'm going for here. That little rust thing right there, knock that down. The paint on the lower plastic cladding for the rocker, those were all pretty paint chipped, and as you can see here, she looks brand new now, pretty much. I mean, obviously it's not perfect, but it's silver from a, you know, from a 5-foot, 10-foot look. I did the lip on the front bumper here as well. Not too bad. And I painted up the scar here. That looks a lot better. At least the metal's covered now, and it's not going to rust, hopefully, at least as bad. I'm going to come in with a little paint pen and just redo that pinstripe just to kind of finish it off. Same thing on the driver's side, and then the worst rust right here. Came up and did that as well. At least it's silver. That's what I'm kind of going for here. It looks a lot better. I'll tell you that much. I did clean it up. I, you know, oil prep, or what do you call, prep salt it, and then just kind of hit it. I didn't scuff anything up. It's not going to last. Is it supposed to? No, it's just supposed to be better. But that's not bad. That kind of takes away some of the biggest eyesores on it. Some of them anyway. Right here, there's the, if you just cover up that quarter right there, there's the money shot right there. That's the Craigslist view right there. $5 grand or best offer is the only picture you get. At some point, I'd like to take these American racing wheels off. Maybe if and when I put new tires on it. Just kind of chrome paint them or something, you know, just make them, because they used to be chrome originally, I guess. Maybe just kind of do them up a little bit. Well, here we are, cover's back off. I just took a note of where the plugs go just in case I need it. But easy enough to just pop these guys out real quick. Look at the shape. Look at that. And I was disturbing these, so you see my worry here, and they're kind of loose. You know, it's not ideal. So that's kind of my theory, anyways. That something along the lines here is not happy anymore. So we're gonna give it a shot anyway. It's not a bad idea for reliability's sake to have the new stuff in here anyway, because this stuff is as old as dirt. Well, here's the old plugs out. I mean, they look fine just like they were before, but whatever, I don't know. So I got 4 Bosch plugs here, and, well, 3 of them look the same. They say Bosch, whatever, India. And then I got this one that's got a different looking electrode on it. And it says CN. Is that China? Is that Canada? Is that, I don't know what that is. Is it fake? I don't know. Well, those are the 4 that are going in. I got them gapped to 39 thousandths. Right there. I think they were in between. One was like 42 and the others were like 35. So always check your gap, even if they're quote unquote preset. Throw those in there, get that coil pack off, and we're looking good. First thunderstorm of the year. Beats snow and rain and stuff, or snow and ice. Got the new plugs installed. Had to go through 3 spark plug sockets to find one that actually kind of held the plug. Working on getting the nuts for this coil pack off now. Get that old thing out of there. Well, here's how you get that coil pack out. So, you got 2 12mm nuts here, and then on the back side down here, you got 2 12mm bolts. Oh, and the connector here. So, I have pulled the intake boot up and out of the way so I can get my hand down in here to get at those last 2 bolts there, and then this whole thing should come out. There is a little clip here for this wire harness. I'm gonna have to try save that with a screwdriver, try pop those clips without breaking them. And then that should be this thing out of here. As you can see, it's already loose. Not too bad. We'll get the other one swapped in and hopefully it works. I guess that's about where we're at, huh? April showers, huh? Look at the green grass. It's getting lighter out. The storm's kind of moving past here. Obviously not the most ideal environment to be doing plugs and wires in, but I got all the new wires in place and routed. Coil pack is in. Just got to put the little plastic cover on quick, and we should be good to fire this thing up, and ideally it just runs fine, and there's nothing wrong, but I guess we'll find out, right? All right, moment of truth. Let's fire this old girl back up. Hopefully she runs like a top. Should be perfect. I hope so. All right, here goes nothing. Well, that's a good start anyway, right? All right. She kind of sounds spicier, peppier. I don't know. Who knows? Coincidence, maybe? Maybe not. But the job is done. If I could. There we go. There's reverse. Found ya. Back the old girl out into the rain. That's a job well done. All right, here we are back on the Tiburon. I got some big updates here for you. I've been busy here. And up there, inside that, is a brand new charcoal box and new filter. Got everything hooked back up. I'd like to go start it and put some gas in it to see how it does. However, what I've also done, I think I've addressed the exhaust tube by putting some muffler weld on that gasket right there, all around it, and then the one up there, all the way up there as well. But that one's a problem. So I did that. That's got to cure pretty well overnight, so we're just going to let it sit and let it do its thing, and that's going to be that. As you can see, a little bit of a leakage going on there. You can see where like the condensation's blowing out and stuff. So yeah, we've done fixed that. Hopefully it's better anyway. And we'll find out tomorrow if it'll take fuel, 1, and 2, if it's not as loud as it currently is. So, and otherwise, that should be about it. The car's been being driven. It's doing pretty good, I would say. And we're looking great. All right, here is probably the grand finale on the Hyundai Tiburon here. Looks like we've just about got 300 miles on that trip odometer since we got the girl all back together and back and road worthy. Right now I'm driving it to the gas station. We're gonna find out if I'll be able to put fuel in it. Actually, I don't know if you guys have actually seen it, but it would click out immediately, constantly, over and over, and it was a nightmare to fill up. So with that new charcoal box, hopefully we got something something that works. Other than that, the car is actually super quiet now that I've kind of plugged some of those holes in the exhaust with some of that muffler weld, muffler seal or whatever. So it's not too bad. It's actually decent. Better than it was anyway. So that's all you can hope for. Better than it was. So I'll let you guys know here what happens with this. If the fuel tank is full, it means it worked. If it isn't, well, you know what happened. She's all fixed. It's actually taking fuel again. Oh yeah. Well, she took 8.3 gallons without skipping a beat. Should come up to full if I can get the key out of my freaking pocket. Nice, and that should come up to full. moving up slowly. Been a long time since that fuel gauge has been to full, just because of that fueling issue alone.